Welcome to Emerging with Grace.
Waiting my life for the sunshine.
The show where transformation takes flight. I'm your host, Doc G, and together we're diving into the complex, mystic process of becoming. Life can feel like a chrysalis sometimes, right? You're stuck in the in-between. You're breaking down old patterns. You're shedding old skin. And you're waiting for the moment you can spread your wings. Here's the secret. The chrysalis isn't just about change. It's about grace. It's about finding beauty, joy, and strength. In each episode, we will chat with incredible women who've gone through their own chrysalis. These trailblazers have faced heartbreak, career pivots, self-doubt, or reinvention. And they've emerged stronger, wiser, and full of grace. You'll hear their raw stories, powerful lessons, and how they turned the in-between into a catalyst for prominence. Who is this show for? It's for you, the dreamer, the doer, the woman in the thick of transition, wondering how to navigate your own chrysalis. What will we talk about? Everything from self-discovery and guidance to grief, loss, and the power of love. When will you get this? Every 2 weeks, we're here to inspire your mornings, boost your afternoons, and bring peace during late night reflections. Why? Because no matter where you are on your journey, you deserve to know you're not alone and that grace is waiting for you on the other side. So get your tea or your coffee, your journal, your favorite cozy spot, and let's dive into stories of transformation, resilience, and the unrelenting power of grace. Let's spread those wings together, my friends. It's time to transform with Emerging with Grace. And now let's meet today's guest, who's ready to inspire you.
Waiting my life for the sunshine.
Joining us today is Anna Sven.
Yes.
A dynamic media entrepreneur and networking powerhouse based in Richmond, Virginia. As the publisher of Swift Creek and Powhatan Living magazines, a radio show host, and a seasoned podcaster, Anna specializes in helping businesses amplify their brand and connect with the right audiences. She is known as Richmond's ultimate human Rolodex, and she thrives on bringing people together and creating meaningful opportunities. Beyond her media ventures, she is an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce, a dedicated board member, and a passionate advocate for local businesses. When she's not building brands and fostering connection, Anna enjoys family time, yoga, and a great book. We're thrilled to have her on our show today. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Today, our show is about mindset. And I actually got a quote from one of Anna's magazines. And it says, "Your mindset is the lens through which you see opportunity. Change the lens and you change your future."
I love that. Yeah, that's a really good quote.
Oh, I loved it too.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. I want to thank you first for letting me be on your show.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I feel like we just barely scratched the surface of all of the opportunities to talk about. So we'll definitely have to have you back on.
Possibly. So today we're talking about mindset and how it can change your future. And I know you're more aligned with business.
Correct.
So are you looking at changing the future in business, or how are you looking at that?
Well, I look at it in life in general.
Okay.
I think I like to look at things in a holistic view, if you will. And when I think about mindset, I know that I create my own reality.
Correct.
Yeah. So I have a very specific vision for my future when it comes to business, when it comes to my relationship with my family, when it comes to my relationships with, the individuals that surround me, friendships and things of that nature. And so I just, we create our own reality. And I'm excited to talk a little bit more about that because there's a lot of stuff that I've done, a lot of learnings and a lot of teachings that I've embarked on that sort of have helped me and guided me in this path. So, yeah.
I love that. So was this something that you just grew up with, or is something that you morphed into?
Oh, I definitely morphed into. So I was born and raised in Italy. So I'm Italian. My mom's full-blood Italian. So she's Roman Catholic. And I grew up in the Catholic Church. And after high school, went in the complete opposite direction. A long story behind that. Just did not align with me anymore. And as I got older and started taking yoga and but developing more of an interest and a curiosity for spirituality versus religion, that's where it really started to get me into learning about mindset. And so I've taken a couple teachings and courses with Kathleen Cameron, with Bob Proctor. I consider Bob Proctor, even though he's now transitioned, I considered him one of my mentors. He never knew who I was, but I took a lot of classes and a lot of teachings from him and, reading the book Think and Grow Rich and things of that nature. Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them, but they're a collective of energies that speak through Esther Hicks. And so I listen every morning as I go into yoga, I listen to a clip from Abraham Hicks. I just pull up YouTube and I know that God, spirit, universe, whatever it is that you want to call it, will guide whatever it is, the question that I have or whatever situation I'm currently going through, it will be answered through that clip, and they're called rampages. And so like this morning.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Oh, I'll have to send you a couple. They're really, really good. So like one of the things that I think about myself all the time is procrastination. And I happen to be thinking about that lately. And when I was going into yoga this morning, the YouTube that I pulled up was about procrastination. And so I know that the answers that I'm seeking will be revealed to me in my everyday life, right? We're talking about the 11:11 and 12:34. Right. Those serendipitous moments, those God winks or whatever you want to call them, are going to happen in my life, and I'm more aware of them, which is really exciting. Because before I feel like I just sort of like slept through life and just sort of haphazardly.
You said you deviated during high school, so
well, no, it wasn't. Well, that's when I broke up with the Catholic religion. Was after high school, and then it took me a really long time, probably about 4 or 5 years, because I didn't start. So I graduated high school in '97, and then I didn't start practicing yoga until my daughter was born in 2005.
Okay.
And so those years, you get married, all of these things are going on. It was just I feel like I was asleep during that, during that time. And time really is a human construct. So, what seemed like, I don't know, do math, how many years is that? It's 8 years? 8. 8 years seems like a really long time, but then when you really think about it, it's a moment in time as well, too. So I didn't develop this thirst for spirituality until I started practicing yoga and was sort of enlightened to it, or it was brought to my attention, if you will.
Okay. So yoga, holistic, mindset. What else have you added to like that fruit basket of
I'm also
life?
A Reiki practitioner.
Okay.
So I went through, I'm not a Reiki master yet. I just have to go. So I've gone through the second level. So that was something else that I also delved into. I also meditate as well. And then I read a ton of books. And I read the books not because I'm looking for, or this is what I did before. I read books because I was looking for the answer. I'm like, if I read this book, this will be the answer. If I do this practice, this will be the answer. If I stop eating meat, or if I stop, doing these things, I realized that looking for the answer outside of myself is where I was getting lost. And so I needed to look internally. So that's where the meditation, even though I'm terrible at it, that's where meditation came in. That's where the practice of energy and Reiki came in, because I feel energy. Like I can walk into a room and be like, oh, this is definitely where I want to be, or this, oh, nope, this is not. And not that it's good or bad. It's just not in alignment with where I am at that moment,
Okay.
right? Because
Okay.
the day before it could have been completely fine. The day after it could be completely fine. And I'm learning that one of my favorite sayings is, if you thought you knew me yesterday, let me reintroduce myself.
I love
Because
that.
I have learned my experiences that I had yesterday will reshape the lens that I'm looking at life through today. And so I used to get so stuck with, well, I believe this and I know this and da-da-da-da. And I would get stuck and frustrated. And so now instead, when I'm like, oh, okay, that like, imagine going through life like, oh, I can believe something different today. Like how exciting that is versus I have to hold on to this old belief that no longer serves me and have to fit my life into that little box. That's ugh,
Well,
gross.
one, you don't want to fit in a box.
No.
And you don't want people to put you in a box.
Correct.
So I haven't found anything that you have said today or that you have said to me previous that puts you in a box.
Well, thank you.
So I do find something new about you every time I talk to you.
Thank you.
So today,
Yes. Today.
yoga, Reiki,
Reiki.
I love Reiki, by
Yeah.
the way. No more sleeping through life.
No.
How old's your daughter?
She's 19.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 19. And then I have a 12-year-old son.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have a empty nest for a while.
I don't know. For another 7 years.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird now that she's out of the house and we only have one person at home. I mean, besides my husband and I, but it's definitely a shift. And I tell people all the time, and sometimes it makes me sad when I think about it, but my son got a better mom than my daughter did because she was born during that
Sleeping time.
the sleeping time. And I was much more conscious and much more aligned when he was born. And so I feel like he got a better mom, but she's getting a better mom now because now we have conversations. So she'll call me when she's going through something difficult, which if she ever listens to this, like, I get so excited when you call me. Like it makes me like I'll call my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, should I say something? He's like, don't say anything. She'll never call you again. But she will call me. I'm realizing she values my opinion because I look at it. I don't think that anybody is right or wrong in any situation. Like, and I'll give an example, and this is a really, really hard example. And I gave somebody this example the other day. Murder is wrong, right? Like you take somebody else's life. But if you looked at it from that person's perspective, could you say that they're wrong? So have you ever seen the movie The Shack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a very good example, right?
Right.
So he lost his daughter because somebody took her life.
Correct.
And so he hated that individual. But if you actually watch the movie, God, Spirit, Universe, whomever it is that he interacted with, helped him see that that person didn't necessarily know what they were doing, right? Like because they came from a family of mental illness. They came from a family of abuse, and his father got abused by his father, who got abused by his father. Their act, what they did, was wrong. But does that make them a bad person? Not necessarily. Right?
Or in self-defense.
Or in self-defense. And so when something happens like that, I always try to look at it from the other person's perspective to understand, well, why exactly did you behave that way? Why exactly did you respond in that way? And so I am a firm believer that all of us, you, me, the gentlemen that are here in this room, we are all having an experiential experience that God, universe, spirit has decided, ooh, I'm going to be Anna. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to come forth into this physical world and I'm going to be Anna. And then I'm going to be Dr. Garrett. And then I'm going to be Adam. And I'm going to be Elizabeth. And I'm going to be Lynn, because they want to experience life through our lens. Right. And so if I believe that we all come from the same source and eventually we're all going to go back to the same source. If I truly believe that, then how could I ever look at another human being and be like, I don't like who you are. I don't like what you did, because I could have been you. I could have made that choice. I could have said those words. I could have acted in that way. And so how could I ever be truly mad at somebody if that could have been me? I could have been born a tall black man. I could have been born an Asian woman. I could have been born, in the Middle East. I just happened to be born in this body at this present moment, right? And eventually, maybe in the future, I will come back as a different experience. But I try to live my life. I don't want to use the word try. I live my life daily with the intention of looking at things from a different perspective, not just my own, and realize that life, how I see it, is because I have certain glasses on. If I just put on a different pair of glasses, I'd see life in a completely different way.
And we talk about those glasses in mental health. You know, the rose-colored glasses versus
absolutely.
the ivory, shiny, beautiful gold glasses that glimmer life everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you think about mindset, you think about it in terms of how you view?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if I wake up in the morning and my first thought is, I'm mad at somebody, or, oh, I'm so frustrated about this, or I can't believe that this happened, that sets the tone for my day.
Correct.
Right? And so I've told people this, like, what I do first thing in the morning is, yes, my phone is my alarm, but I don't look at my phone. I don't check text messages. I don't get onto Facebook. I don't check emails. I don't do any of those things because I want to set the tone for my day of how my day is going to go. And so if I wake up in the morning and I meditate and listen to things that fill me up and then go to yoga and then look at my text message, then my mindset is set in a way that I know is going to make me feel good.
Okay.
And so it's important for me to make sure that I do those practices, because if I wake up in the morning and I'm not feeling good, then everybody I come in contact with that day is going to feel the exact same way, because that's what I'm attracting.
Right.
Other people are just mirrors of how we're feeling on the inside. So if somebody comes, quote unquote, comes at me, right? I mean, there is a you, that's a their problem, right? Like we say that a lot, right? That's a their problem. That's a you problem. And that is in some essence true. But if I don't allow you the space to do that, if I don't give you the open door or the open window to be able to come in and come at me, you'll find somebody else to do it, if that's what your mindset is for that day. And so when people say, well, I have all of these people who are mean and, and do all of these things to me, and I'm like, I don't. And why? Because my anticipation and my expectation is that people are really, really good people. And that's who I bring into my space. And I'm very, very lucky. And maybe it's because of who I am. Maybe it is because I'm a white woman, and that's why people are nicer to me, right? So I don't have the same experiences that you have in life.
So you recognize your privilege.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I say this
so
coming
you're
from...
not just rose-colored glasses. No. You don't have peripheral vision. You have peripheral vision.
Correct.
You don't have tunnel vision.
No tunnel vision.
Okay.
So I do recognize that, are these things happening to me because of who I am and the privilege that I have? Probably. But is it also the expectation of what I have? Absolutely. Right?
Expectation does change a lot.
Absolutely.
So the way the show is, it's about like a metamorphosis. From what I'm hearing, you went through a metamorphosis between 97 and 2005. And then probably another one because your daughter was born in 2005, right?
She was, yeah.
And you say you're a better mom. So you continue to evolve.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Give us a little understanding about that.
Well, again, I think it goes back to if you thought you knew me yesterday, let me reintroduce myself. I don't stay stuck in what I believe. I'm constantly learning and trying to evolve and becoming the best version of myself. I don't want to be better than you. I don't want to be better than anybody else. I want to be better than what I was yesterday. And so what does that look like? Right. And so if I had a conversation with my son and I wasn't as kind as I could have been, what can I do in the future to have that same conversation and it be a different outcome? And so I'm always the whole it's you, it's not me thing. Yes, there is some truth to that, but I always bring it back to, I talk about radical responsibility all the time. Everything that happens in my life is because of my doing. And so if I get into an argument with somebody, it's not because they argued with me, it's because I argued with myself. They just happened to be the person that was playing the part, right? That needed to be played in order for me to have that argument. For you to
disagree.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I very seldom recommend products unless I like them, I use them, and I agree with them. So when I tell you that this lint-free no tree, 100% bamboo, biodegradable tissue. It's strong, 3-ply, and beautiful. I'm trying to tell you, Leafy is it. I will leave my coupon code in the bottom of the description. It's DocG25. So okay. With that thought and that mindset, you go into the business world. When did you start that part?
I started my business in 2000. Oh my gosh! Again, here's time is a human construct. So we're going into. I started in 2021 during COVID.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, March of 2021 is when I went to training, and then I launched my first magazine in September of 21.
That's good. So about 3-4 years now.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years.
Okay. So it's a baby.
It is a baby.
Yes.
Yes. Very much in its infancy.
Goodness. When a business is a baby,
Yes.
that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Now I get why your husband says, where are you going to fit it in?
Yes.
Okay. So what else do you do besides raise your baby, your new one, your son,
Yes.
your spouse,
Correct.
and then I'm assuming the yoga is your self-care.
It is.
So
Yeah.
is there anything we're missing?
No, I think that's pretty much about it. Other than reading.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But that's you.
That's me.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I would call you a lifelong learner
Yes.
because you have that curiosity and that thirst for knowledge and you want to continue to pull it in,
Yes.
which is beautiful.
Yes.
So I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
With you starting your business in 2021, what gave you the thought that that might be a good idea?
That's a great question. So before I started my business, like I shared, so I was actually teaching yoga at the time as well too. So I've been practicing since Michaela was born in 2005 and then started teaching when she was 4, so in 2009.
Okay.
So that's 16 years now that I've been 20 years that I've been practicing, 16 that I've been teaching. And I was doing that and health coaching and all of those and I loved it. I was like, I got to work out for free, right? So, but then it became work. And so there's not the self-care part of it. And so a friend of mine had started her own magazine. I saw her post something and she was in skincare. And so I saw her posting that she wanted to, connect with roofers and plumbers. And I was like,
in skincare?
In skincare, right. It's exactly. The face that you're making right now is a face that I made. I was like, girl, what are you doing? I'm like, I know you're not selling them skin cream or SPF or anything like that. And she's like, oh, I'm going to start my own magazine. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. What exactly is that? And so she shared and I was like, is this another network marketing thing? Not that there's anything wrong with network marketing. I've been in it for 25 years. It's a great avenue. It wasn't great for me. And so she was like, no, it's completely different. I was like, okay. Everybody says it's completely different. My company does it differently, et cetera, whatever. And I was like, she's like, you should do this. It's exactly what we do, which is basically connect with people and help them find solutions to their problems. And I was like, no, thank you. And then that was in October of 2020. And then in March, I saw her post her first magazine cover. And I was like, oh, so this is like a legitimate business. She's heard this story. Granted, it was like 3 years afterwards. And she's like, you never told me that. And I was like, oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. So she posted her first magazine cover. And I was like, oh, this is like a legitimate business. I'd love to learn more. And so I talked with her on a Wednesday. I interviewed on a Thursday with our division manager, and then I was in training the following Monday. And I remember going downstairs and, during COVID, so my husband's at home, and I rushed into the office and I opened the French doors and it was all very like, ah. And I was like, guess what? And he's like, what? And he gets scared when I say stuff like that because he's like, oh gosh, we're going to have to hold on. I was like, I'm going to start a magazine. I'm going to be a publisher. And he goes, what does that mean? And I was like, I have no idea. No clue. And he's like, okay. Which is how we live our life for the past 25 years. And so I really did. I did a complete 180. Health coaching was really, I found to be challenging. Okay. We know what to do in order to be healthier individuals. Drink more water.
Right.
Don't smoke, don't drink, move your body, get enough sleep, have a positive mindset, right? It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Obviously, everybody's different, chemically different, et cetera.
Right.
There's certain idiosyncrasies to everybody. But coaching people to do the right thing was really hard. And it was like dragging like a dead horse to the water, right? And it just became really, really heavy. And like I got so emotionally involved in their success that when they didn't succeed, it was my fault. I wasn't a good coach. If I had been a better coach, then they would have succeeded. If I had done this better, then they would have done X, Y, and Z. And it just got to be a lot, especially when you have a young son. At the time, he was just born. So I would nurse him at 9 o'clock and then take a client from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, nurse him again, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, go to work, and do it all over again. It just got to be too much. And so I got into this space, and what I realized is I love community connection and conversation. I love having people in my back pocket that I can say, hey, you need something? I had 3 text messages this morning. They're like, hey, I need this, and I need this, and I need this from like 3 different people.
After meditation.
Okay. And I sent them the contacts. I had the people to be able to say, yes, absolutely, I know somebody who can help you with that. I love that. And I love to see other businesses thrive, because when your business is thriving,
you're thriving.
You're a happy individual. You're contributing to your family's finances and prosperity. And when you do that, then that bleeds out into our community, and it just makes our community even better. And so it's this, remember the infinity symbol? Like I love the number 8. For me, that's what it is. It's just everybody feeding into everybody. And so I love doing that. Like I've dubbed myself the human Rolodex. Not that anybody knows what a Rolodex anymore is, but it's your contacts on your phone. Like,
I was looking at that. I thought, okay.
Yeah. So like when the first time I said it to my daughter, and I'm totally telling my age. When I first said it to my daughter, she's like, what's that? And I was like, oh, my Lord, have mercy. It's your contacts on your phone for those who are like, 20 and younger.
Right.
But I wanted to be the person who everybody in Richmond either knew or wanted to know. Right. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Like Richmond's really tiny.
It is.
It's a very big city, but it's very, very tiny. And I just want to be, if you wake up in the morning or at any time during the day and you're like, I need whatever it is at the end of that sentence, I want you to think of me. I want to be the Joel Bieber of the human Rolodex.
Oh.
Yeah, right? So like I want everybody to know that. And if I don't know the person that you need, I'll find them, because I know somebody who knows that person, right? And so
I think you told me that the first time I met you.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember that part.
Yeah. And I'm stepping into that. And it was funny, probably about 2 years ago, right when I joined the chamber, I got nominated for Small Business of the Year. And so I sent out this survey and everybody can vote or whatever. And my mom calls me and she goes, I don't know, what is this thing that you got nominated for? And I was like, Mom, Small Business of the Year. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, thank you. She's like, you finally figured out what you want to do in life.
Sounds like
my mother's Italian, so the whole sandwich.
We don't have that.
No, she just flat out
straight
says
for it.
yes. But I realized in that moment, like even though I was like, I took, it got a little taken aback when she said that. I was like, well, dang, what did you think I was doing in my life? Apparently not much. But she voiced something that I was now feeling. Like I feel like I truly have found my calling of like just connecting people to the people that they know, because I really do want to see people prosper, because the more you prosper, the more you give back to your community, the more you give back to your family, and the better we are as a community, right?
Yes.
And so I
if
love
you're not
seeing
worried about paying your bills,
right,
then you're able to come home and de-escalate and just be.
Absolutely. Well, and I tell people all the time, like people say, like, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, for as long as I want.
Okay.
And I want to do that because I want to, like, if I have somebody who's a friend who need, or even some random person, but they need $1,000 because they had something tragic happen in their life. Like a friend of mine, her house burned, right? And so I would love to be able to say, hey, here's a couple grand. Go do whatever you need to do. Take care of your family with no expectation of the money in return. Like that, I know that probably sounds pretty pompous, but I want to be able to do that. I want to give back to the charities that I love.
Right.
I have a couple friends who are either executive directors or they started charities. I would love to be able to give money without any hesitation, because then when I do that, they prosper and they help all of the individuals that they're helping. Having a house cleaner, like it's really nice. It also saves my marriage every 2 weeks, right? To have somebody come and clean my house.
Yeah.
But I also know that, yes, it's an investment. And yes, I am privileged that I can do that we have the means to be able to do that. But I'm also contributing to her family.
You are.
And so when I think of like, yes, I could do this myself. I could go and paint my bathroom. I don't want to. I could. But instead, I could hire a painter who will take them less time to do it, and then it contributes to his prosperity, right?
And you don't see all the mistakes that you would if you did it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I tried during COVID. That's the reason I brought up the whole painting the bathroom, because I was like, ooh, we're going to have all this time. I'm going to have all this time on my hands. I got to taping the bathroom. And after that, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But that's how I view life. And so, if I can give back to other people, then they're helping. It's this domino effect, right? This never-ending stream of being able to.
But I look at it, different mindset.
Sure.
But I look at it as if you have a housekeeper, that means you're buying back time.
Absolutely.
That you wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely.
So that time you can put either with your family or with your business.
Absolutely.
Because you are raising a business.
Absolutely. Well, I talk about it as staying in your zone of genius.
Yes.
Right? So like
I say staying in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I could probably replace my what's it called? The thing that grinds up the food.
Meat grinder?
No, not the meat grinder. It's in your sink. What's it called?
Oh, the garbage disposal.
The garbage disposal. Why was that so hard? Right. So like I could YouTube it. Right. And I can totally do it yourself.
Who wants to?
Right? But who wants to? What would take me 4 hours, 5 hours, or an entire Saturday to accomplish will take a plumber 30 minutes to do.
Right.
Right. And so
you just feel mad that you paid $95 for $15 for
15 minutes. But it would have taken me going out to the store, making sure that I bought the right one, and then coming home, and then my husband and I arguing because this needs to go there, no, that needs to go there. That type of thing. Like that. Why do that? And it's no different like this podcast, right? There's people who are doing it for you. Like you could do it. Absolutely. You could.
It's not my wheelhouse.
Right. It's
that's
not
why
your
I love these
right,
guys.
Exactly. But that's why I'm saying like there are people who are really, really, really good at what they do.
Yes.
And you're not paying for their time.
You're paying for their talent.
You're paying for their talent and the years that they put behind learning and mastering and figuring all of this out, figuring how a camera works, figuring how to edit all of these things. Like, yeah, totally, you could do it, but then you would spend how many hours doing that when your time is better suited helping your clients and your patients. Like that's where you're needed. That's your zone of genius, right? And so if you are being taken away from that, then think about all the people that are suffering because they don't have access to you because you're editing a podcast, right? So that's my thought process. And yes, it stinks when you have to pay $95 and they're there for like 10 minutes and out the door and like, see ya, right? But again, we contribute to their prosperity. They have a job to go to. They have purpose in life, and I could spend it doing other things.
True. So I want to get into more how you would suggest other people change their mindset. Okay. But I have to tell you my mother's story first.
Sure. I'd love to hear it.
I made a copy of the first magazine that you put me in.
Okay.
The interview and the ad and all of that. And I sent it to my mother.
Oh.
Well, I gave it to my secretary. I said, so it came officially from my company and everything. And my mother got it from the mailbox, and she said she stood outside for a second. And she said, oh, my goodness, she doesn't want to tell me her business is failing. I said, what?
Wait, that's a big leap.
And she never opened the envelope.
She never opened it?
No, she just went in the house and she waited a few minutes. And then she said, you didn't answer the phone, so I figured I might as well just open this and see.
Oh, goodness.
And I'm like, really?
Interesting.
And she came I had a grand reopening.
Okay.
Because after COVID, I think I already told you this, mental health started booming and the business started running away like a wild child in the streets. And I was trying to rein it in, and I had a reopening. I moved the building to a 7 office, added a holistic part to it. She came to the grand opening.
Okay.
And she was like, oh my gosh, look at this. I can't believe you. And I was so proud. I wasn't even sure what to say. And she's telling all of her friends.
Okay.
The thing is, she doesn't tell me.
Right. Yeah.
She's just going on, and I have to hear it from a friend or somebody from her church. And, and I'm like, okay, so you thought I failed after this big grand opening. Right. So that's my mom's story.
Okay.
Moms are just different.
They are
worry
different.
24/7.
We do.
Just like you worry about your 19-year-old.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, they're not in your sight, you have to worry about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do you help people set their mindset for business, for life? Because as Reiki, you actually help them set their mindset for life.
I do, yes. So yeah, energy is, so Reiki, for those of you who don't understand it, it's basically energy healing, right? So you just help the body heal itself. I'm not doing any of the healing. You don't put your hands on anybody, but it's just moving the energy so that it doesn't remain stuck, right? Because energy can get stuck in our body. And so when it comes to mindset, I tell this to people all the time, like, I'm not the expert. I don't know all the things. Like you said, I'm a lifelong learner. And the second I stop learning, like if you ever see me like that I'm not doing it anymore, I want you to knock me upside the head.
But see, that's a mindset. As long as you're a lifelong learner, you're not stuck in your ways.
True. Yes.
And when you find people, I hate to say this because I know somebody's going to take offense, but when you find that people are stuck in their ways, they stop learning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the world keeps moving.
It does. And there are people, and it's not just a mindset. It's also, you have to physically move your body forward. And when I say physically move your body forward, I'm not talking about putting one foot in front of the other, but physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, you have to move your body forward in order not to remain stuck. And so what I like to tell people is find a mentor, even if the mentor, again, doesn't know who you are. Right. Yes. So like Bob Proctor had no idea who I was. Right. Kathleen Cameron's a mentor. Find people who are actually physically here that you can reach out and touch, right, as mentors as well, too. I've asked for a lot of help, which has taken a lot to be able to say, I don't know all the answers, and I need somebody who has a bird's eye perspective of what's going on in my life in order to be able to guide me and be like, hey, remember, you already know this. Come out of the chaos and go in this direction because you already know, and that's the direction you need to go into. Read a lot. So I've read books, things like The One, Ask and It Is Given is probably one of my favorite books. Think and Grow Rich. It's really thick. I've never gotten through it. I've had that book for, at least 10 years now. I've never gotten through it. And I'm trying to think of all of the other. I read 4 books at one time. So right now I'm reading Inner Excellence. Fear is something or other. I don't even know the title sometimes. One of the Go Givers series, Go Giver leader one, and then Ask and It Is Given. Oh, and The Law of Abundance. I lied. I'm on 5.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also by Abraham Hicks. And so all of them, what I find is that the stories or the thought process and the information is all very similar. If there are personal development books. Now, if you're reading a smut novel, it's obviously very different. Which you should read those because those are
line
fun.
Up with other smut.
But like, I read all it. So like when I go and I reshare something that I've learned, people are like, "Oh, where did you hear that from?" Or "Where did you learn that from?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's in one of the 5 books that I'm currently reading." But I will tell people like, go and read something so that it can give you that bird's eye perspective. You can come out of your own self and sort of see things from a different lens and be open. Like that's probably the hardest thing to do, but it's the most crucial thing to do. If you get stuck in, I've always said this, I've always believed this, I've always done this.
You're not open.
You're not open. And you can't.
Take in new information.
It's difficult to receive new information.
Right.
And I have people, I will give you one really good example of, besides the whole not looking at your phone for an hour before you first wake up, stop watching the news.
I don't watch the news.
I haven't watched the news in 15 years.
Yeah.
Probably since before Michaela was born. So
I
maybe
try to tell my clients not to watch the news.
Don't watch the news.
Yeah,
the whole it bleeds, it leads type of thing. Like they're not going to tell you anything good.
Right.
I mean, they may sprinkle every once in a while.
Even the weather is horrible.
Even the weather is horrible. But so if you want to change something immediately, stop watching the news. Please. Stop getting your...
I don't even watch TV, actually.
I do. And sometimes it's mindless.
My simple Saturdays is when I do nothing. And I mean nothing. Like I get up, take a shower, put on different pajamas.
Oh, I don't even do that. I stay in my pajamas all day. My husband's like, "You're going out to the store like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, totally." I run into people and I'm like, "I look homeless today."
I think I have what I call savvy pajamas.
Oh, okay. I need to get a pair of those.
The onesies.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Actually, look cute.
They look cute.
I need to get those. No, mine are mismatching and they probably have stains on them. And my husband's like, "You're going out in public like that." And
I do.
But that's who I
get in the car and run to the store real quick.
But I will say, though, that people have met me in person. They're like, "Oh, you're exactly how you are online is how you are in person." There's no, and I'll take a picture with somebody, can you put a filter on that? I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I mean, I could probably figure it out, but I don't want to. So
it's not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's not in my wheelhouse. So yeah, it's it just be open to not being stuck in how you thought life had to be yesterday or even 3 seconds ago.
Right.
If you can just be open to new possibilities. And then I also, the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. I used to love that because I'm like, oh, I love people who like to talk about mindset and spirituality and all of these things. And then I realized that all of those 5 people were all saying the same things. We were all agreeing with each other. And I was like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to be able to sit down and have a conversation and say something to you and be like, oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Have you thought about this? And for you to share your perspective so I can see it through your lens so that the next time I come through and have that same situation or something similar, I now have a different perspective. So I don't like people who agree with me.
Gotcha.
I really don't. I want you to be able to say, okay, yeah, I sort of agree, but have you thought about, or, no. 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 And those are the ones I really like the most. Because when you can challenge me, right? I'll say with quotation marks.
Not disagree and argue.
Right. There doesn't have to be an argument, right? But it can be a very educated discussion of I want you to give me a different perspective. Because again, if you give me a different perspective and I can see it from a different lens, I'm growing. I'm learning.
Yes.
I'm not staying stuck in my own ways. And then again, I have a different perspective going forward. I can only see life through my perspective and through the lens that I have.
Because that's what you're living.
Because that's what I'm living.
But you're open to seeing it.
1,000%. I want to see the other side. I had somebody say to me the other day that there's certain things that they can't talk about with me because I am a white woman. And I was like, no, I don't.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't want that. I want you to share your perspective so that I can never live what you're living. We can never live each other's lives ever, right? Even if we go through the exact same situation, it's not the exact same situation.
Have it differently.
It's different.
Having children, they're raised by the same parents, but like you say, you're a different parent now.
They're completely different people. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I want somebody to say, no, this is what I've experienced. And not for me to say, oh, I understand, because I don't. But I can empathize or I can be compassionate towards what you're saying and I can have a different perspective. So I want people to share with me what it is that they're going through and what they're seeing and what their perspective is.
You know what we call that in counseling?
What's that?
Cultural humility.
Okay.
It's where you allow yourself to listen and hear and understand the person better.
Yeah.
Even if because nobody has the same culture.
No.
Nobody. You are not going to run into anybody just like you.
Even people in the same culture don't have the same culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people are raised by 2 different parents.
Yeah.
Some people have a step parent. Some people had only a single parent.
Yep.
So there's people's ideal culture is in a box.
Absolutely.
And cultural humility allows that box to open up and blossom.
Yeah.
So I get to know you, and I just learned today you're from Italy.
I am. Yeah, born and raised. I moved here when I was 13.
And I could never tell.
No, nobody can. It makes me so mad. makes me so mad
Why?
that I don't have an accent. Like if you talk to my mother, she still has an accent. Instead of saying third, she says turd. You know, instead of saying tree, she says three. But yeah, so like people are like, oh, you're Italian? I'm like, yeah, I was there until I was 13. I found out that English was my second language when I was applying for college.
Really?
Yes. I always thought that I spoke both languages. I thought I was fancy is what it was. My dad's American. My mom's full-blood
Gotcha,
Italian.
gotcha.
So they got married or whatever. And then I didn't start speaking English until I went to an American school in Italy. So yeah.
How old were you then?
When kindergarten, so 6.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start
That's-
speaking.
yeah.
Yeah, I could converse with my dad. Like he would speak to me in English and I would respond in Italian. So I understood him. I just never spoke the language.
Correct.
I didn't speak the language until I was forced to when I went to an American school, a DOD school, Department of Defense. But yeah, I didn't find that out until I was like filling out all of my college applications, sitting at the kitchen table and, you know, it says, was English your first language? And I'm like, yep. And my mom goes, nope. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like 18 years old. No. She's like, no. She's like, you didn't start speaking English until you were 6. And I was like, how's that never come up with conversation? And she's like, why is it relevant?
Yeah, why?
She's like, you speak it fine now, right? But now, you know, I meet people who are like full-blood Italian and they have an accent and it makes me sad that I don't. So, and I don't even know how to pretend to have an Italian accent either. But I do apparently have one
Don't
when
be
I speak.
anybody but you.
Exactly. Yes.
So, yes. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And social media is another thing I don't do. I don't do TV. I don't do social
Okay.
media. I do rom-coms
Okay. Ooh,
on
I
my
do love a
simple
good rom-com.
Saturday. But you compare yourself.
Yes.
If you were to give 5 pointers on mindset to my audience, what would you say those would be?
Don't look at your phone first thing in the morning for at least an hour. And if you're a doctor and on call, obviously there's a caveat to everything. It's like I before E, except after C, except all of these other things. Right. There's always a caveat to it. Don't look at your phone first thing in the morning, if at all possible. Pick up a good book. And if you need some suggestions, I have an entire bookcase of books that I would love to help you, you know, just find one that, you know, that feels good, if you will. Surround yourself with really good people who push you to be better than you were yesterday. Realize that you're not always right. There's no right or wrong,
No.
but you're not always right because everything that you learn and you experience can always be learned or experienced in a different manner. And so be
It's
open to that.
three-dimensional.
It's 3-dimensional.
Or
I say-
5-dimensional.
Right. I say this all the time. There's her
His,
story,
her,
his story, right?
the
And then there's
truth.
in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know that there really is a
A definitive truth.
Right, a definitive truth. Because again, going back to the whole perspective and lens type of thing, take time to be with yourself and find out who you are. So whether that be through meditation or I don't know how else to do that, but really truly find out like what makes you feel good on the inside and listen to your intuition. Because your intuition, if you allow it,
Will tell you.
will tell you. And now that I'm like getting more and more in tune, like my intuition now screams at me. And it's so exciting when things like that happen. I'm like, oh, yes, please, and more. Like give me more of that. So those are probably the 5 things that I would share. And then if you need help, like reach out. I'm happy to. I am by far not the expert, but I've sort of fumbled my way through it, but I can help you, you know, give you some tools and some suggestions and resources if that would be beneficial.
So how could people find you?
Well, I do have a website. So
Okay.
it's www.annasothen.com. You can reach out. I am on all the social media platforms because I need to be for business. So you can find me at Anna Sven on Facebook, Instagram, Google. My business is RVA Connected. So if you want to reach out there, if you want to come on to the radio show, like you were on the radio show, if you're a small business owner, I'd love to, you know, showcase your business. But really, truly, like, or if you need a handyman or an electrician or a roofer, reach out to me. Like, I really do want to be that resource for you, no matter what it is.
Now, you gave me a nice little anagram to
Okay.
remember your name. And I would love for you to tell them
Yes.
how you get people to remember how to say
yes.
so then.
Yes. So I tell people all the time when I introduce myself, if you've never met me, my name is Anna, like Princess Anna from Frozen. And then my last name is So Then, like the beginning of a story, So Then. So my mother-in-law gave that to me right before I got married. And she's like, babe, they're going to butcher your name for the rest of your life. So just tell them it's the beginning of a story. So then. And so it should be pretty simple, but usually people put a U or an R in there. And then as far as my first name, over here, I went by Anna for a really, really long time because my actual name is Anna. But if I say Anna, nobody's going to remember that. There's nothing to tether it back to for the mental recall. And so when Frozen came out, I was like, yes, it's a middle ground. My mom is still like, Anna, that's not your name. And I'm like, I know that, Mama. I said, but this is close enough. So if I can say Anna, like Princess Anna from Frozen, so then, like the beginning of a story, people are like, ooh, I like that. Now I remember your name.
See, I remember Frozen, so then.
Yes.
So
right, yeah.
To me they rhyme.
Right,
but
exactly.
I want to thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming and hanging out with me.
Absolutely. This was an absolute pleasure.
I'm glad. I'm glad you like it.
I did.
I'd like people to leave a little happier than they came.
Absolutely. So. Leave them better than what you found them.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am. And you do that.
And you're 5 people. My dad used to tell me all the time, be the dumbest person in the room.
Yes.
And
if
then,
you are the smartest person, get out.
Yeah.
Get out. Go find a different room.
Yeah.
Because you
you're
can't
just
learn.
there for accolades.
Well, yes, there for accolades. And so I want to share something with that though too, because you can still pour into other people,
yes.
though, right? So don't be like, oh, I'm too good and therefore I'm going to a different room, right? But still pour into other people. But yes, if you are
That's
the smartest,
lifelong learning.
Yes, ma'am. But if you're the smartest person, find a different room to be in because you can't learn for, and then the whole saying like, you'll never get criticized by somebody who's doing more than you are, right? So find people who are doing more than you.
Yes.
Versus the people who are doing less and criticizing
I always
you.
ask for that feedback. Like,
absolutely.
What could I have done better?
Absolutely.
So,
that's how we learn and grow, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you can't tell me, so like I go and like I do all of these podcasts and I do these, talks and I MC and always at the end of it, I'm like, what could I have done better? And they're like, oh my God, you did amazing. I'm like, that's not helpful.
Right.
Anything like you could have been better on cue with this, or you could have done this a little bit better because that's how I'm going to learn and grow. If you can't give me your perspective, then that makes it difficult for me to grow. And I would really love for you to share, what it is that you're seeing. I won't take it as criticism. I take it as helpful knowledge for me to grow from. Yeah.
That's an open mindset.
Yes. And it can be hard. Don't get me wrong. It's not all, peonies and flowers and rainbows and unicorns. It can be challenging when somebody says you did this wrong or you whatever the case may be. But again, if it triggers something in you and you get mad when somebody says something, you already know it's true. You're just mad because they voiced it.
They put you out there.
Yeah, they put you out there. You already believing it. They just happen to say the words, and now you're mad at them because they said it. That's a you thing, not a them thing.
Right.
That's a you thing, not a them
You've
thing.
internalized it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, and you got to come back sometime.
Yes, I would love to.
Talk to us about business.
Yeah, I would love
mindset.
that. Absolutely love that.
And my baby's going to be 7 this year.
Oh, yay.
And I don't even know if I can handle that part.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
7 years. Usually they say the 7-year itch, right? Like in marriage, like 7 is a really good.
Yeah.
Is a really good number. Because they usually say when in business after 5 years is really
if it doesn't make
it, like you're not going to.
Right.
If you're a business owner, you're not going to make any money for the first 5 years.
Right.
You just basically
if you're a good owner.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So for you to have hit that 7-year mark is really, really good. And it's after the 7 years, everything transitions, right? There now becomes this different cycle. And so your business will shift and grow if you're open to that and aware of it.
I am.
So there you go. Then you're set up for great success.
Yeah, I'm raising another business.
There you go.
All right. Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Emerging with Grace. Ladies, remember, every challenge is part of your transformation. Just like the butterfly, you're meant to emerge from the chrysalis, stronger, braver, and ready to soar. Until next time, keep living your life in the sunshine and never stop flying higher. Share this journey with a friend who needs to glow and encouragement. Invite them to join our growing community of women who are rewriting their stories gracefully. I'll see you back here in 2 weeks for more inspiration, powerful narratives, and tools to help you shine brighter than ever before. This is Doc G, reminding you it's always your time to transform. Let's rise together, one flight at a time.
I don't reject myself, I reflect myself. I'm embracing every moment, won't neglect myself.